across the spectrum and around the globe, we bring you World Combat Sports.
World Combat Sports, yeah. World Combat Sports, yeah. World Combat Sports, World Combat Sports, yeah. World Combat Sports, yeah. World Combat Sports, yeah. World Combat Sports, yeah. World Combat Sports, yeah.
World Combat Sports. How you doing there, Coach Larry Wade? You are one of the coaches of Badou Jack, who is currently on the card this weekend.
Yes.
How's that feeling for you? How did training camp go?
Camp was amazing. It was amazing for a number of reasons. Coming back off the fight that Badou had just not too long ago, I really wanted to see what his mindset was going to be, because he took a really, really bad cut from a headbutt in his last fight, which was in January. So to come back 12 months later, 11 months later, I wanted to see what his mindset was like, and he was really excited about getting back in there. So that made us all excited, the whole team excited.
Coach Larry, talking about that cut, man, I was actually there for the fight.
Yeah.
It was one of the most gruesome visuals that a boxing match can undertake.
Right.
Because he had a 12-6 cut that was in the middle of his forehead.
Right.
Why was it pretty much allowed for him to continue? Even though he had the dog, he had that heart. But why was it there for him to continue?
You know what? I don't have that answer, and the reason I say it in that way is because, the referee, I have to respect his job, and evidently he felt as if, there wasn't enough to, call the fight. And more importantly for me, being a trainer of Badou Jack, you guarantee I was concerned, about the situation, but he wanted to continue to go, and he made sure everybody knew he wanted to continue to go. And he has that one quality which makes him a 2-division world champion. He has that, what I call that gladiator mentality, or my mother would call it just being pure stubborn. But he refuses to give up, and that's what's going to make him a 3-time world champion as well.
Yeah, speaking of champions, when he was in there with Marcus Brown, who ended up going in there against Pascal and losing, how do you assess his performance that night with the cut and everything? Do you believe that's how he dropped on the scorecards a little bit? He was more distracted by all the blood and blood loss and everything?
Well, the reality of it is he lost a lot of blood in that fight. I was surprised that physically he could keep going. Anyone that loses that amount of blood, they become anemic and they can't even function anymore. Yeah. But I was really, really surprised that he was able to keep going, but I was proud of him. I went to the hospital with him, unfortunately, and he made it through. Now we're looking ready for the next step.
Do you think people sleep on Badou Jack because his low-key, monotone personality? He's not as boisterous as a lot of fighters, but he still can go in there and get the business.
Well, I think so. I think anytime a guy's not being over flamboyant, it becomes a problem. I mean, I see that with a lot of my fighters. Shawn Porter's the same way. He's not really that, over-the-top flamboyant and arrogant. So a lot of times he may not get the same type of attention as someone who's a little bit more, monotone, someone's a little bit more direct and a little bit more professional in what they do.
Coach, tell me this. How long have you been coaching Badou Jack?
About 3 years, I believe now, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Give or take.
You've been there for some of his biggest bouts.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? You've been in the game. Heading into this with Jean Pascal, it's a championship bout, right?
Yes, it is.
So, therefore, that's a tough opponent. We all saw him go in there and drop Marcus Brown twice. How do you assess going in this fight without giving away anything, with a tough opponent like Pascal who got that experience?
Well, Badou Jack isn't a Marcus Brown. Marcus Brown isn't Badou Jack. You can guarantee that Badou Jack is more experienced than a Marcus Brown when it comes to high-level fights. If I'm not mistaken, I think all of the fights Badou's had in the last 3 to 4 years have all been against world champions. Marcus Brown can't say that. So he takes a certain level of experience in the ring with him, and also a certain style that's a little bit more complicated for Pascal than I think Marcus Brown. They always say style makes fights, and I think this is going to be one of those situations.
Outstanding, good points there, Coach. What was a key point that Badou Jack made to you after that fight that he left with Marcus Brown, being bloodied but not battered? I didn't think Badou Jack was battered in that fight. I just think it was more of a display of his crimson mask more than anything. But what was something he told you as his coach coming out of that bout that stuck with you?
Well, it's not a matter of what he said. It's a matter of what he did. When he went to the back after the fight was lost, he didn't make excuses. He didn't complain. He never even made it a reference to the cut in his head. He was like, it's all right. It's going to be okay. I'll be back. Get this taken care of. And he went to the hospital and got taken care of. But it just shows how, once again, how much of a gladiator he is. He's a modern-day gladiator. Most guys get a nick on the eye, and they're like, I need to stop. You know? Badou had a split all the way to the skull. And he was like, whatever, keep bringing it.
Yeah.
And that's what people love about him. That's why he's the people's champion, because of that type of mentality. And that's why people always tune in, because they know he's going to give them an honest effort and an honest, real fight. And you're not going to just roll over a guy like that. He roll over you.
I totally believe what you're saying, because a lot of sidebar conversation was saying the caveat, just what you were saying. They was like, dang, Badou Jack got some heart. Yeah. Man, you know, he stayed in there the way he was, losing all that blood, and still went in there and fought. Right. So he gained some fans there, you know, and everything. He's a respected fighter in the game anyway. Yes. But right now, you know, he's at that part in his career. He's 36 years old. Right. And every fight for him is like one of those to cement more to his legacy. Mm-hmm. Do you agree or not?
I agree, but I think also he still has to fire. Yesterday I saw him doing a little workout, a little shakeout, and I said to myself, is this young Badou Jack or 35, 36-year-old Badou Jack? Because he looked amazing yesterday. I was so excited for him. So he still has the drive, he still has the passion, he still has the talent. And I'm a firm believer that it's not about the age that helps determine what your body does. It's how you treat your body like anything else.
Okay.
You know, the same way we have cars, they always say change the oil, change the tires, you know, do all these different things. That's a very true statement, that if you take care of it, it'll take care of you and last forever. But if you abuse it and you're drinking and you're smoking and you're partying late at night and you're doing all kinds of extracurricular activities, your body's going to break down just like the car would if you didn't take care of it. But Badou doesn't smoke. Okay. He doesn't drink. He's very disciplined. He's a family man. He doesn't go out to clubs. Badou's body is amazing for his age. So
he's preserved it.
No question. No question. He preserved it. It's in great shape. It's showing great strength. It responds. I mean, it responds really well. A lot of times when you're training guys who are a little bit older, their bodies don't always respond the way that you want it to. It takes a little bit more time, but if you take care of it and you're training someone of that age, you see the response the same way you would if they were in their high 20s.
Outstanding words. You know, I have to ask you, the other fighter that's in your camp there, Coach, is Shawn Porter. Yeah. Coming off one of the best fights of the year against Errol Spence Jr. Right. I mean, unfortunately, in the 11th round, you know, Errol caught him with the left hook. Right. But, you know, we was looking at Shawn Porter's performance against Yordenis Ugas. We was looking at him in there against Danny Garcia. Right. Two different performances. Right. Then when he fought Errol Spence, another different performance, like the old vintage Shawn Porter, the dog, came out.
Well, I wasn't privileged to be part of those other camps. I brought me back for this fight here, and so I was grateful to be part of that camp for this Errol Spence fight. And Shawn has lost 2 fights while I was working with him. Okay. And those 2 fights became, the first one's fight of the year with Keith Thurman. Yeah. And I think this one with Errol Spence has to be fight of the year again. Yep. Worst case candidate then, fight of the year. That's the worst case situation. But I think the performance both those young men put on that night, and especially Shawn Porter, makes them deserve the fight of the year, because I think people would watch that fight again.
Is there any way y'all can go get that, snatch that belt from Manny Pacquiao? Man, stylistically, man. Listen. Look, he got the WBC coach, IBF. Why not go get the WBA from Manny Pacquiao?
Listen. If I could give the fans that fight, no one would want to see that fight more than Shawn Porter first, Kenny Porter second, and Larry Wade last. I would love to see him fight Manny. I mean, that would be the dream fight for me. But we all know Manny's not taking that fight. And
there's a little rumor mill out there. I thought it's possible it could happen, but it's not.
Somebody, I Googled myself one time. They said I had like $81 million. You know, rumors are just that. They don't make them true. You know,
Yeah.
I know for a fact Manny's not going to want that fight, and Manny has earned the right in his career and in his life to be able to make those decisions now. He's a legend in the sport. He's earned that respect, so he doesn't have to take on a Shawn Porter, and I understand that. But I would love it, Manny. In case you change your mind, I would love that fight.
Hey, we would definitely love to see that fight. I think stylistically it would be perfect. And I pretty
all night.
Yeah, I pretty much believe Shawn Porter go in there and dog walk Manny Pacquiao, to be honest. Especially if he's on violent testing. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If everything is clean and the way I know Shawn Porter, one of the most physical specimens in the welterweight division, it won't even be close. I don't think it'll go the distance.
I don't know if it'll go the distance, but I do believe stylistically you got two very energetic, high punch output guys. You're going to see blows all night. And you got two guys whose heart is humongous. I take nothing away from Manny. Manny's a champion. His heart is huge. Same for Shawn. So you got two very similar guys from that characteristic in the ring. You're going to see another fight of the year, if not fight of the year, candidate for that fight if it was to ever happen. And it's going to be full because everybody understands the excitement that Manny brings along with his fans and the pure excitement that Shawn brings in every single last one of his fights.
Totally agree. Any final words, Coach, heading into this war, this championship battle this weekend? Badou Jack against Shawn Pascal, championship bout.
Mm-hmm. This is the words I have for you guys. Please tune in to this fight. It's going to be an amazing fight. You got two veterans in the ring, two division champions. Well, I think Pascal is a one division champion, but two-time champion.
Yep.
They're both two-time champions. You're going to see a very physical and exciting fight. You don't want to miss it. If you guys are around, please tune in and support me on my social media as well. If you Coach Larry Wade at Instagram, Coach Larry Wade at Twitter, Coach Larry Wade at Facebook, just Coach Larry Wade. So whatever you guys are able to do, please support us, support Badou Jack, and please watch the fight this weekend.
Coach Larry Wade, salute from World Combat Sports.
Thank you
much
guys so
appreciated
much. I
and much
appreciate it.
respect going in there getting that victory.
Thank you so much.